What's up to all my fight fans? If you are following the recent news in UFC, you are now aware or not aware and you're just tuning into my channel that Nate Diaz has finally, after all this time, got a fight against Khamzat Chimaev. Wow. Wow, it took long enough, didn't it? It took so damn long. And I am so happy to finally have our boy Nate Diaz back in the octagon. It has been too long. The last time we seen him fight, I believe it was in June 2021 against Leon Edwards. And, you know, given the fact that maybe it wasn't the greatest fight, but we do remember that it was that last minute of that fifth round where Nate had him rocked. That was actually pretty exciting. But nonetheless, I definitely don't see that being this fight. This fight is going to be much more epic, much more. You know, with Diaz and his striking ability and what we've seen from Khamzat against Gilbert Burns recently. Good God, I mean, what a fight that was. You know, Khamzat is definitely not afraid to mix it up. Khamzat is definitely not afraid to strike, to throw his hands, to show what kind of a fighter he really is. In all honesty, in the beginning, I wasn't too thrilled when I first heard about this potential matchup back last year. If you guys remember correctly, the UFC offered him this fight, and Nate felt like that was kind of an insult. And in actuality, if you think about it, at the time, it definitely was. You know, because Khamzat definitely didn't show who he really was prior to that. You know, we didn't see that Gilbert Burns fight prior to that. So Khamzat has been making a lot of noise, but he was still relatively unknown, a relatively newcomer to the UFC. But after that fight, he definitely made a statement. After that Gilbert Burns fight, he made a statement like, no, you know, I'm not just some one-hit wonder, and I'm not this just straight up playing new guy to the game. No, I am actually a great fighter, and I want to show you guys how great I am. So now we get this fight. And now we get to see how great he really is. Because Nate Diaz, even though we can put him up there with a Gilbert Burns or a, excuse me, sorry, not Gilbert Burns, a Kamaru Usman, or a Kobe Covington as far as wrestling. We know Nate Diaz is not the biggest wrestler. But when it comes to his hands, I don't know if anybody else has better hands in the game. When it comes to straight up boxing, I have no idea who else has better at boxing than Nate Diaz. I mean, imagine Nate Diaz against any one of the UFC fighters just purely boxing. Who do you think you're gonna pick? Yeah, exactly. Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz has great hands, and we've seen what kind of hands Khamzat has. But the only scary thing about this is Khamzat has tremendous amount of wrestling. But we've seen those wrestling against, again, not the creme de la creme, not the greatest fighters, because again, this is the beginning of his career. This is the beginning stages. Of course, he's not going to go in there with a Kamaru Usman, a Kobe Covington, a Jorge Masvidal just yet. We need to see how he does against some of these other guys. And against these other guys, he just looked phenomenal. You know, his wrestling looks great. His jiu-jitsu looks great. And his striking has definitely looking really, really great as well. But now here's the real test. Can he strike with one of the UFC's greatest strikers ever in Nate Diaz? Can he perhaps wrestle? We all know Nate Diaz has had trouble with some wrestlers. But Nate Diaz is not afraid to be on the ground. Nate Diaz is definitely not afraid to be on his back, and definitely not afraid to be mixing things up with his hands. So if Khamzat were to get him on the ground, again, can he handle the jiu-jitsu? The Gracie black belt jiu-jitsu artist in Nate Diaz, can he handle that? This is a really good test for Khamzat Chimaev. A really good test. Because Nate Diaz is always and forever a dangerous fighter. That's why Leon Edwards had to play it really safe, because he knew what he was up against. He knew that Nate Diaz had some really good hands. And he knew that if you take him to the ground, he has really, really great top-level jiu-jitsu. So I'm extremely excited for this fight. I have no idea about it being 5 rounds or 3. I could definitely see it being 5 rounds, being the fact that Nate's last fights, aside from Anthony Pettis, I believe his Jorge Masvidal and Leon Edwards fight were 5 rounds. So I hope this is a 5-round fight. And that's another one. That's actually another question. Because we just saw Khamzat Chimaev in a 3-round fight. His first ever. Prior to that, the guy barely got out of the first minute of the first round because he was just dominating all his opponents. But now he's in there with a cardio king. Nate Diaz is a guy for fun, does triathlons, marathons. The guy loves to swim. I mean, the guy is literally a guy that could fight all night if he wants to. All day and all night without stopping. So that's another one. This would be, if it is, Khamzat Chimaev's first 5-round fight. Can he withstand that? We've seen how he was in that 3rd round. He definitely was, I don't want to say struggle city, but he wasn't, we could see it in his eyes like, whoa, this is a different type of, this is a different fight game now. Like, this is a different fight style that I'm used to. I'm used to just taking out these guys. Now here I am in round 3. Well, guess what? Now you're going to be in there with a guy who is, again, phenomenal grappling, phenomenal striking, and his cardio is just beyond words, out of this world. So, can Khamzat survive that? Can Khamzat withstand that? That's another test right there. And I believe he has the potential to do so. Again, even with this fight, Khamzat is still very green. He is still very, very new to the game, regardless of the skills that he's presented. He is still a very, very, I don't want to say beginner of the fight game, because he just looked tremendous. But if you match both experience levels with Nate Diaz and his, it just doesn't even compare. But still, this is no walk in the park for Nate either. No walk in the park. I may be bringing up Nate and on paper, it almost seems like he should definitely beat this guy without any problems. No. Khamzat is a very tough guy. A very tough opponent for Nate. He has, beyond words, just his wrestling and his power has just been like really, really, really remarkable. And his ability to take a punch like he did with Gilbert Burns, even though Gilbert Burns maybe not be the greatest striker or known for his power, but Gilbert Burns is still a very dangerous fighter himself. He is still top level when it comes to jiu-jitsu as well, you know, just like Nate Diaz. So, be that as it may, Khamzat definitely didn't show no fear going into that fight. Definitely showed no, like, sense of, like, oh my God, you know, I'm not ready for this. No, Khamzat showed, like, you know what? Even though I am taking on some lower level opponents, I am ready for the big leagues. I am ready to take on the UFC welterweight champion, Kamaru Usman. You know, Khamzat Chimaev definitely has shown that with his with the style of fighting and with the way he presents himself, you know, he doesn't come off as someone new to this. You know, he definitely doesn't come off, you know, his record itself is very deceiving. You know, people look at his record like, oh my God, really? It's like, Nate's going to fight this guy for someone that doesn't know Khamzat? No. Khamzat is extremely a dangerous fighter that Nate has to really, really prepare for. But this is Nate's last fight. Last fight in his UFC contract. Will we see Nate Diaz come back after this? I believe so. I believe Nate just, like, if you guys watched that interview that he did with Ariel Helwani, he just wants to go branch off and do his own thing for a while. You know, he's been with the UFC ever since The Ultimate Fighter Season 5. You know, he's been doing this for a very long time. And you know what? He just wants to do his own thing for a little bit. Perhaps go box Jake Paul or box some other guys. I even remember watching that interview and hearing him say he possibly even wants to box Triple G, which be very interesting on that case. That he even wants to go do some jiu-jitsu matches and such. You know, he just wants to do his own thing for a bit. I promise you guys, Nate will be back in the UFC. He will. He will. We will see that Conor McGregor Part 3. I promise you guys, that is not a fight that's never going to happen. That's a fight that's definitely going to happen. Maybe not as soon as we hoped, but it's going to happen. But yeah, guys, I'm excited just as much as you are. I am so pumped and so ready to see my boy, one of my favorites, Nate Diaz, back in the octagon in September 10th, I believe it is. Guys, let me know what you guys think. Let me know how excited you guys are. Or let me know if maybe you're hoping Nate Diaz was hoping for a different opponent. Or maybe you're not excited as I am. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, subscribe, hit the notification button. Thank you, guys.